By making them believe that Byron's plan worked, they would fall into the trap themselves. It was a brilliant plan. It was hard to believe that a 14-year-old girl had come up with it. The problem was that this would require the 14-year-old girl to act as a spy. Roderick remained silent, unable to open his mouth to hear the Emperor's words. No parent would want to bring their daughter to the brink of death, especially after she has been missing for over a decade. I understand. It won't be an easy decision for you or Ophelia. But if you want to rescue Byron, it's the only way. The one who tried to kill his father, the one who tried to overthrow him. And, his only brother. Hiram forced a smile, suppressing the anger, sadness, and hatred that burned within him. I have no intention of forcing you. Even if he were the Emperor, he couldn't do it. But, wouldn't Isla want the same thing? And her last words shocked Roderick. His daughter wanted revenge on her own. Yes, it's true. That girl, Isla, wants him. He repeated the words of his friend and lord. His complicated thoughts seemed to become a little clearer. I'll try to persuade Ophelia. But if you refuse, I will not do it, Your Majesty. Well, well. Of course it must be like that. At Roderick's words, Hiram nodded vigorously. It was her daughter's business, so shouldn't she have her mother's consent? Another thing Roderick and Hiram had in common was that they were both incredibly devoted husbands. It was absurd to proceed with anything without the consent of a wife he loved dearly. The heavy atmosphere eased a little as Hiram's face regained its usual cheerfulness. And then, a knock on the door, breaking the royal wizard's eavesdropping protection spell. It was because he didn't want to reveal that he was having a secret conversation with Roderick, so he deliberately avoided going there. Happens. Father, ah. As soon as permission was granted, the door opened, and it was none other than Crown Prince Winfried who walked in, calling out to his father forcefully, but then froze when he saw Roderick. Duke Weishafen, I didn't know the Duke would be here. I won't bother you, so have fun, father. Winfried turned stiffly, like a wooden puppet in a puppet theater, and creaked back the way she had come. He then began to hit his head, blaming his own stupidity, and since the door was not closed yet, his actions were clearly visible to everyone inside the room. Why does His Highness the Crown Prince act like this? Roderick opened his mouth, stunned by the mysterious sight. Because? It's your fault. TSK. Hey? Because of me? What do you mean? As Hiram clicked his tongue, Roderick tilted his head, even more bewildered. Then Hiram lowered his voice and whispered, How do you not know? He likes Isla and wants to look good for you, but he doesn't know how, so he's devastated. Hiram's words gave Roderick a lot to think about. In addition to being a crown prince, Winfried was a very kind and innocent child. He was also a very beloved child, as the son of a close friend. But he felt sorry for the boy, who had been so cold the last time he visited the palace, and for the boy, who had been so bright and cheerful, who had become so frozen. Thinking of Isla, who had blushed and been lost in thought after hearing the word crown prince at dinner last night, his regret quickly dissipated, and the blood in his neck and forehead began to boil. So, how is your daughter? What do you mean? Does my son behave like this alone, or does he also have feelings for someone else? Because? You know, Hiram continued whispering. Of course, the more Roderick heard, the more uncomfortable he felt. Don't know. Roderick stared into space, looking away from the Emperor. The voice was sharp and clear. That girl is not completely uninterested in my son, is she? That's why he behaves so badly. I understand your desire to have the daughter you worked so hard to find by your side. But you're more pathetic than I thought. Pathetic. Unable to justify the Emperor's spiteful words, Roderick simply decided to remain silent. There was absolutely nothing wrong with what he said. This is disappointing. What's wrong with our Winfred? He hasn't even grown up all the way, but he's already tall, handsome, and has a great personality. Hiram nudged Roderick and spoke disapprovingly. His tone was playful, but his actions, with considerable force, betrayed his sincerity. Isn't now the time to talk about these things, Your Majesty? Roderick sighed. At that time, Isla's life was in Byron's hands, and her fate was uncertain. Talking about the distant future seemed a little unlikely. Yes, I was a little reckless. I will reflect on it. At Hiram's quick reflection, he burst out laughing in frustration. Precisely because of this, he was able to maintain his lifelong friendship with Hiram, whose antics bordered on the scandalous. He quickly admitted and reflected on his mistakes. Anyway, I hope you think about it carefully, even if it's later. I would welcome you as my in-laws. And if we could have someone as wise as that girl as our crown princess, there would be no greater blessing for the Palace Empire. At the Emperor's words, Roderick's expression became deeply complicated, deep in thought. It seemed like he would need to call Alexia Dexon as soon as he got home and have a long-awaited duel with her to calm his troubled mind. It was a quiet afternoon. Isidore, who was reading books in his room, heard the phone his sister had lent him ring, so he quickly closed the door, locked it, and exchanged greetings with Candace on the other side of the screen. What is happening, Director? Now the doctor takes it for granted. When Candace pursed her lips as if she was unhappy, Isidore responded seriously. I can't help it, I have news to wait for. How are you? Ah, that's what I was talking about. Candace shrugged, her expression unreadable, and Isidore, growing impatient, rubbed his chin impatiently, waiting for her response. Who do you think I am? Of course I have discovered it. Candace lifted her chin and opened her mouth proudly. He boasted that he had finally found this information after searching through the Academy's archives and restoring magically erased documents. Luckily, there was no need to investigate the teachers. Isidore, of course, was uncomfortable with the idea of interrogating, or even threatening, his mentors into revealing their stories from that time. Her name is Suki Insidio. As you remember, she was an international student from the Palace Empire. He had exceptional natural talent and a great interest in learning, so he passed the admissions process with ease. His grades were quite good during his time there. Well, his relationship with his teammates was not very good. Candace pushed up her glasses and began reading the papers in front of her. It is true that he left the course halfway. Oh, to be exact, she was expelled. Expel? What the hell did he do? Isidore asked seriously. The Academy had a fairly liberal academic culture. The rules were not especially strict, and the environment actively encouraged the students' free magical investigation. But he didn't understand what the hell he had done to deserve expulsion. And they even hid the reason from the students so that they would not divulge it. He broke a taboo. He must have carried out unauthorized biological experiments. And with humans, too. My God. At his words, Isidore sighed without realizing it. It was something terrible. After being expelled, she returned to the Empire. That's all I can figure out, but I have a feeling. I believe that person is the one who did something so terrible to our dear Isla. Candace nodded with a very solemn expression. If it had been any other time, he would have dismissed those words as mere hunches, but this time, he had the same thought. I think so too. Suki Insidio. Isidore said goodbye to Candace, taking the name she had given him seriously. Then please come in, Director. Oh, do you need someone good at finding people? I have one in my charge. Can I lend it to you? Candace asked, winking at him. Bernie would have been horrified if he had heard it. No. It seems there are experts here too. He nodded with a serious expression and responded. That expert, he said, was none other than Roderick. He had been searching for Isla with the Knights of Wychefen for more than 10 years, so he knew every corner of the empire, and he had boasted that he would take care of everything if she told him her name. Then I will trust and wait. I hope to have very good news next time. Candace smiled playfully and waved, and then the call ended. Isidore sighed in relief as he put the communicator in his pocket. Finally he dared to face his sister and brother-in-law.